Well, so I have in the studio the chairman for NDC Greater Accra, Joseph Niade Koka. The camera will be on you.
He's the chairman of all chairmen, actually.
He's taking some filler to enrich his conversation. And then somebody who has already done that, because he's from another conversation on Bedroom on Adumti before coming here, so he's already enriched.
Not so much.
It's the Member of Parliament for Nsawam Medreji and Frank Anodom President. Thanks for joining me, Frank.
Pleasure is mine always.
Will you be going to Parliament today?
Today, no. I have an
engagement in the constituency.
Yes.
I see that you've been going on with Nanado Dankwe Kufuado. You want to overthrow John Dramani Mahama during the elections?
No, we don't. Let me greet your viewers, thousands of viewers, Ghanaians, my constituents. It's always a pleasure to appear on this show. And I congratulate you for anchoring such a reputable program. Your producers, I thank you. Nobody wants to overthrow His Excellency President.
You want to vote him out?
No, we want to tell the truth to the Ghanaians. President came on a certain what do you call it, a certain mission, and he told us on a few things that he was going to do for us. Cost of living, jobs for the youth, investing in people, expansion of the economy, rediversifying the economy. These are the words of the president himself, particularly investing in people. We think that we want to put a measure out there and be very fair to the president, to let Ghanaians know the things he said he was going to do, if indeed these things have been done. And then we also look at corruption, because it's becoming clear that corruption is one of our big problems as a country. With the limited resources we have, if corruption is still dissipating the limited resources we have, then it's an area we need to pay emphasis on. The president is just one person. He has his appointees. The president cannot be everywhere. And so if things are happening, we bring it to the attention of the president. And we think that if a commensurate action has not been taken, drawing from a hindsight benefit, previous governments and what was done before, we're putting all this in context, particularly the current hardship that we are experiencing from the hands of my able chairman. I'm not happy you are pairing me with my chairman because the greatest respect to him. But anyway, so there's too much hardship in our system now. Roland, fact to be told, it's not everything that government can do within the spirit of a period that you are given. You don't do everything. But there are certain critical things that you don't compromise on them. Cost of living. Expansion of the economy. Because it is when you diversify and expand the economy, that is what is the surest way of creating jobs. Today, as I speak, Blue Sky, one of the reliable exporters of fresh fruits to the UK and Europe.
It's in your constituency?
Yes. So I know what I'm talking about. Blue Sky imports pineapple.
Are you serious?
Call them to confirm.
That can be true.
They import.
They used to buy pineapples from Kaswa, Bodriase, those areas.
I know Roland, I know you are surprised, but that's the fact. They not just huge tons of pineapple, annually. Mango. Yes, the cycle of production, they import it to
the raw materials they use are a mixed fruit of pineapple, mango, ginger.
You know, I've worked, they don't use ginger. I've worked, yes, they use some parts of ginger.
They have a flavor for one of their pineapple products.
Yes, you're right. I've worked there for 2 years. The thing is getting out of hand. And you know, basic economists will tell you, and my chairman will agree. Once you are importing these fruits from neighboring countries, you are rather creating jobs there.
But also will have
and I think it's a crisis.
An influence on your overheads, and so will affect your pricing.
Of course. Thank you. It's a crisis that I hope that President himself, not the minister, Mr. Spiogabra, the current Minister of Agri, they have done what they could, but the situation is still persistent. I want to appeal to the President. The current situation at Blue Sky, because Blue Sky employs 4,000
But you don't use the Blue Sky situation to paint a very gloomy picture as if the whole industrial base of Ghana is collapsing.
No, have you looked at the budget statement, the last budget statement?
I didn't look at it. You tell me.
Yes, industry grew by -%. negative percent.
I know about the variable growth. Yes,
Roland, if I'm not allowed to use, and of course that's the intention, but I'm saying that the last budget, if you look into it, the industry grew by -%. That should tell you the current state we find ourselves. And we are not surprised that the hardship is all over. This hardship is so endemic that you can practically feel it on your skin.
Okay.
So these are the motivations why we think the president, His Excellency the President, has had enough.
That's why you're saying that he's not going to cross the mark.
Well,
Frank cannot dump. He's a member of parliament for Sawan Madojiri. But we asked this very question on the back of Nanado Danko Akufo-Addo, now starting the first round of his tour, just to give the targeted electorates he has on his books that the Mahama-led administration is not doing. We want to play you an insert. When we come back, we'll have a reaction from our lead chairman in the studio, chairman for Greater Accra NDC, Joseph Niadekoka.
I came to promise you and also request something from you. We are in an election year, and all I need from you are your votes. My promise is to provide jobs for the youth and work on the economy, because when the economy is good, jobs are created. I need your support. The MP here is like an orphan because he's an opposition. When I'm president, he'll be stronger. Whatever we need to do to make Ofanko a better place, we will. Roads prepaid, among others.
Yedi ejuma baba Ghana ama mranche ede mabawa enye bibia ye na no so chese ye ba be siesie ye sikasam na no ne siesie sikasam a ejuma so be ye dey ebe ba enti Moses, Elim, Mamu. That's why I say Janka. Only Papa. I'm not the milk of Kanoa. I feel an Oba Bay day. Now they hear, see a bay, Ama Trobo, Ama Ufancoano. You bet me, District Assembly, a coin. Prepaid, the Benunia Ejuma. Bedamase.
Well, somebody will say Nanado is very much hot on the heels of the NDC. But at the end of the day, is the subjects at the heart of the issue for many Ghanaians, the bread and butter issues.
Yes.
And I believe that that's what Nanado and the other opposition are leveraging on.
Really, let me say good morning to yourself and my junior brother here and your esteemed viewers. Bread and butter issues. Exactly. I think in this country, we are one of the largest economies in West Africa, second largest economy in West Africa. That if you talk about expanding the economy, it has been expanded. That Ghanaians have to take steps to create an enabling environment. The government has done that. So Ghanaians have to take advantage of the enabling environment. When you go there, people are working, people are in employment. There are challenges, of course. Even almighty United Kingdom, recently they said they were in recession. USA, America, they are in recession. The whole world has got a problem. There's a global problem regarding unemployment, right? But in this country, I think we are doing what is important to enable us to create the jobs. That's expanding the economy, investing in people, as he said. How are we investing in people? If you expand your educational infrastructure, definitely you are investing in people.
That will have a
ripple effect. You know, if you improve your infrastructure, right, it's going to have a multiplier effect in so many ways. If you construct your roads, right, if it takes somebody 1 hour to get from Accra to Eduajiri, where my brother comes from, and now it takes him 30 minutes, he's saving some money.
Some production time.
Exactly. You understand? So the enabling environment has been created. People are of the opinion that government must wake up in the morning and then go and put money in people's pockets. That is not possible. But you create the enabling environment. So when listening to Akufo-Addo, I was baffled because look, in their 10-point program by Umia, the 4th point, he says that they are going to what? Increase employment by what? Engaging engaging in infrastructural development. And that's what we are doing. There's massive infrastructural development in this country. The last time I gave you an example, when you enter Accra, just from Kotoka Airport, just turn left, and you can see all those infrastructures that has taken place.
We have apartment buildings, we have offices complexes.
Haven't you created employment? Those edifices there, Ibis Hotel, that structure has created employment. That glass office.
Huge offices.
Huge office. People are employed.
So you are saying that who will be occupying the not workers?
They are workers. So you are expanding the economy. So when people keep saying, I don't know whether they
Perhaps is the argument not being that because of the priority of the investments, so there's not equity. There's no equitable distribution of the resources in such a way that all segments of the economy would be served, but currently are being underserved.
No, look.
As a result of that, those in the lower income bracket rather are feeling the pinch, and they form the majority.
When you are talking about the majority of workers are in the informal sector, so if you are doing infrastructure development, the informal sector will benefit from it, because if you are building a school, for instance, right, somebody is going to supply cement. Somebody is going to supply iron rods. And most of these people are in the informal sector. Somebody is going to pitch there and cook and sell food. It's the informal sector. So you are creating employment.
So why do you think that the MPP and your critics seem to be pointing out this if you don't think it's a reality?
You see, I am on the field, and I'm in a sector, right, that employs people.
Because you're a private sector
exactly.
person, you're a businessman, exactly. You do your own
exactly.
business.
And I see the job I create by what I'm doing, that people are employed. You see, people believe that in an election year, politicians have to say things that will suit them. But when I was talking about figures, negative industrial, that kind of thing, you see, when you go down there, I gave an example. The schools that we have built in, say, let's say, Ekonfe, for instance, it has enrolled about 1,000 plus students, school going age. That small sector, you have employed janitors, you have employed teachers, matrons. You have somebody, I'm sure, has gone to pitch up a kenke or wache or on a campus.
Or a provision.
A provision. Now,
selling joints.
Somebody has sold school uniforms.
So you're saying that along the value chain?
Along the value chain, benefits are there.
But why do you think there's extreme criticism?
No, because the opposition has to criticize.
So that's what they're doing.
That's what they are doing.
Just criticizing.
They have to criticize. That is their job. You see, their job is to criticize. But the pudding that we are eating is there.
Okay, but let me run this by you. And I keep asking this very question because back in the day, you and I, we know ourselves from way back. From the turn of the century up to 10 years later, 2010, and even up to now, we can't say the quantum of or the state of the economy has been the same. Indeed, if you look at our growth per GDP annually or even per decade has increased so much that the capitalization is never going to be the same. Now, if let's say we have an economy, currently we're around, is it 188 billion or something of the sort, which is growing at 4% or 3.5%. But you have an economy which let's say it was around 30 billion or 40 billion, growing at
8%.
Let's say 8 or 10%.
That's vast difference.
It's not the same, is it? I mean, just look, we're talking quantities here, not necessarily the figures, because the figures in themselves, according to Professor Jeffrey Sachs and Stiglitz, don't always do the math.
You see, the point we have to be told, and in all fairness, I don't have a problem if President Mahama is doing well, and I have to admit, I have no problem with that.
Of course, you won't admit. You're in opposition.
No, don't say that. Many occasions I've said, well, in this area, I think they've done well. Many occasions I've begun a process by myself. The Shraj case, I recall, I began the process. The president acted upon it.
I do recall.
Yes, and I congratulated the president for that. But you see, do a survey, a simple survey. Just walk on the streets of our country and talk to 10 people. That is the indication of the penchant feeling that people are holding against administrators of our economy now. Rightly or wrongly, indicators like inflation, interest rates, GDP, these are things that we use. It may be simplified, but they are things that we use to measure the performance of the economy.
In the strictest of sense.
Of course. Now, tell me, in the last 4 years, which of these indicators have been positive? None. Look at our debt to GDP ratio, heading towards about 70%. That is not sustainable. You see, one of the things we need to recognize is that there is no country in the globe that has developed out of just borrowing and sorrowing. Because the Asian tigers that we always make assessments of, that we make allusions to, they also borrowed before. Recently, Greece went into crisis, they also borrowed.
You mean they've been there before?
Yes, but you see, the current spate of borrowing that is crowding this country is even crowding the private sector. Look at domestic borrowing that this government is engaging in. As if there is no business. And so that is crowding the private sector out of business. If somebody says that this government has created an enabling environment, I beg to differ. Tell me what are the issues, what are the things that the government has put place that has created an enabling environment. If corporate tax is so high, if taxes have gone so high, nobody is saying taxes wrong. But look at Nana going to Aposo-Kind. Unannounced. And then the people came out of their own volition, that people at the Aposo-Kind made contribution of 1 billion old cedis and gave it to him. That should tell you. Because the import duties are so high that it is crippling and destroying their business. That is the crux of the business. That is the crux of the matter and the whole issue we are talking about. It's a shame unto us, and I am inclusive, that today we are globetrotting, importing basic raw materials. And you think I should applaud government? The Blue Sky is importing raw materials. Most companies are importing raw materials outside, and we should applaud government for that. Most companies cannot meet their overhead costs. And you say you have created an enabling environment. In which world have you created that enabling environment? Now, on the youth, if you're not careful, we are going to conscript our youth into a den of, thugs who can attack us.
Misfits.
No.
Yes. I said, if you're not careful, I'm not saying
who
that.
feel they have no future.
Because.
Just because?
Because, you see, I congratulate government for a few youthful limbs that are in administration. Dr. Mani Buama, he was my junior at the NUTS. I'm happy today seeing him motivate me. Okujetua Blakwa, he was my junior at the NUTS. I see him in government, he motivates me. Kwabena Kando and the likes. But this is just an indication. The overarching youth of our country, are we saying that we have given them opportunities? No. President comes to the state, to the parliament, and does a State of the Nation address. And then he cites a number of examples. Okay? I don't begrudge him for that. And he says he's evidence-based. The real evidence is on the street of our country. This is not where I want my country to be. If you've traveled across, even in the sub-region, Togo, Benin, now even Cote d'Ivoire.
They're doing better than us.
Cote d'Ivoire is doing better than Ghana. It's a fact.
Benin, Togo.
Yes.
They're better than Ghana.
They are doing, in terms of the growth of their economy.
Okay, you're saying the growth is better. But not that they are better than us.
No, they are not better than us.
Okay.
But they are doing better than us now.
All right.
Is Cote d'Ivoire not doing better than us?
Yeah, I think by
they are doing better than us.
But
Why?
the variables, yes.
Why? Because they are getting certain things right and we are not getting it right. On the cocoa sector, let me just finish. Chairman, okay. Well, I'll just finish with the cocoa sector, for instance. The cocoa sector, for instance.
You bang in a lot of things for me.
Look at how it's plagued with troubles.
The cocoa sector.
Oh, no.
Why? Because the 1 million ton that we want to achieve has become a mirage. Why? President Kufuor set the tone. Governance is a continuous process. What happened? From a 3,000 tons to about 7,000 plus. Why can't you reach the 1 million tons? Because we are not getting something right.
You mean 700,000? 700,000,
thank you. We are not getting something right.
We got to 1 million in 2010.
We came down again.
Yes.
Let's be frank with ourselves.
Now we're struggling to hit 700,000.
Yes, this country is for all of us. People have stayed in Europe for a long time. They still want to come back. Hear what people say on the street. That is the indication.
Yeah, I hear differently.
Please wrap up on this for me so that I get on to
I hear differently. You see, borrowing, to me, is not a bad thing, provided you use that money for things that were
well, your critics say that you have not prioritized the way you borrow.
No.
And even more, you have not prioritized how you spend what you borrow.
Let me land, please. Give me a few seconds. I'll
give you 5 minutes.
Etuabo gas, we borrowed to complete it. And now, it's for the foreseeable future, is going to be of benefit to the nation, and that we can even pay back the loan, right? So when we are borrowing, look, countries like Dubai, when they started, they were at zero. They borrowed and leveraged.
But we're not Dubai, are we?
No, they borrowed to develop, and when they were in crisis, they had enough assets to come out of the crisis. You understand? So if you just opposed Ghana 10 years ago.
So you're saying it's a risk worth taking?
You have to take the risk, provided you are using it for the right purposes. So I don't have any problem. American debt to GDP ratio is what? Over trillions. So many, 19 trillion.
But let me ask you, is it not also because maybe perhaps the NDC strategy is different from what the MPP
Well, exactly. We are, you see, NDC governments all over the years, right? When they come, they develop the country. My NPP, they are a property-owning democracy.
They want to see money. But money moves people.
Please, property-owning democracy. And for the individual to develop itself. We look at the broader picture. That's why we are building the community.
You're all socially centered, I believe.
No.
Because when they came, they also had national health insurance, maternal health.
I'm telling you about development. Things that...
they did roads.
Roland. Can you leverage on national health insurance? Can you leverage on it? You can't. But
when people have good health.
But that hospital, you have national health is a card.
It's an access
that enables you to go to a hospital.
And you need the infrastructure.
Exactly. But if the hospital is not there, if a place like Rich Hospital is not there, and you have an NHI card, it's useless. It's absolutely useless.
Well, true. That's a good argument.
Exactly. So NDC, when we come, we get ourselves involved in social infrastructure development. Whereas they do, and it's true, 8 years, they said they are property-owning democracy. That was what they're interested in. That is why you can go to Abosokai, and then the people who organize and give you 1 billion, because they want you to come and reduce taxes, and so that they can do more importation, instead of them building up car engine factories to produce the engines.
But isn't also because people cannot afford to buy the product?
No.
It's because the capitalization.
No.
Liquidity within the system is.
No, it's not the liquidity in the system.
It's very much tracked.
It is because we need.
There's some level of.
There must be a paradigm shift in our economic structure by rather discouraging imports, right, and encouraging exports. And so if
you have 30 seconds, your time is up.
If you reduce your taxes to the everybody can afford to go and bring it. That is why you have all the junk in town, right? So I believe that you use the tax structure, right, to develop your country. So when you collect taxes, you should ensure that the taxes are used for the purposes that the taxes are collected for. So for me now, it spoke about cocoa, right? Don't forget that cocoa trees have a lifespan, right? Cocoa trees have a lifespan. right? And if over the years we were growing, we were relying on cocoa and not replacing the growing trees, it will come to a certain stage.
I give you 5 minutes.
That we will have crisis. Now this government has given about 60,000 seedlings to group and then ensure that new cocoa trees emerge within the next 5 or so years. Don't forget, most of our farmers who are aging, their children, instead of them staying in the farming areas, are coming to the cities to work. We need to encourage them to go back to the farm. That's why the government has put up a program, Youth in Agriculture.
Blows were at KM. It's okay. The electioneering is up to November 7th, so don't worry. You can't do. I have every argument here. Blows at KM senior. It's okay. It's okay. Blows at KM over PM election. It's not prime minister, presiding member election. And we'll just watch the video and then we'll have some word. We'll call the minister too for the Ashanti region and ask him why this happened.
Honorable Nana Kusi Owuadu is second. Honorable Ishmael Nana Butler.
So that's what happened. I don't know whether it's a representation of the way our politics is in Parliament. The assembly sessions, are they like the way we have sittings in Parliament? Oh, we don't know. So it doesn't mean that the majority and minority may be fighting one of these days. It will be good for the cameras, though. But we have on the line the Ashanti Regional Minister and John Alexander Akon. A very good morning to you, sir.
Good morning, Roland. How are you?
Oh, sir, I've missed you. I've missed you on the program.
Thanks, Adeo, my God, I'm fine.
But why did you instigate this very fisticuff at the election of the presiding member at KMA?
Well, unfortunately, that question by act should have gone to the members of the Kumasi Metropolitan Assembly.
Oh, sorry.
I wasn't there, so I did not see.
That's a wrong question then. But what do you think may have happened or necessitated this or precipitated this, per se?
To be very honest to you, I wasn't there. I only joined them yesterday after I had done an initial conference and a program at Golden Tulip. So I went to meet the ballot, and then I spoke to them. But obviously, there's a strong statement, a very strong one at that. Consistently, it has been 66, 65, 66, 68. And yesterday it was 68, 66. So more or less the statement is in the middle, 50%. And that's difficult to crack.
It's a straight majority.
And definitely that what that means is that there are intransigents. People have stuck to their positions. And then if you want to immediately go ahead and vote, it implies that you can predict the outcome. And therefore it will be a waste of resources when you are even not delivering on the development agenda. So there are issues that should concern all of us, more particularly Kumasi Metro.
But why is it that you can't seem to be getting the numbers, but you're still not able to do the lobbying and come to a compromise? Because usually I know in governance that's what is done.
Exactly, to Roland. So what happened yesterday was that somebody moved a motion and said that the regional minister has joined them for the first time, and he thinks that he should be given the opportunity to intervene in the impasse and try to broker some peace. And that's what caused the adjournment of yesterday's proceedings. So what it means is that I need to go through and find out the underlying factors and then look at the team players and then try to collectively see those who can help us to prove our peace. And that's the way we're going to go immediately.
Okay. Thank you very much. John Alexander Akon is the Ashanti Regional Minister. I'll come and visit you, though.
That would be wonderful to see you.
Oh, that's great. Anyway, please do enjoy your day. But that's the situation. And what you make of it, them fighting over I know Ashanti region is a very difficult place always to manage, especially when it's your turn of the political.
Most of the assemblymen are. Assembly is supposed to be non-partisan.
Non-political, but we know in our structure.
We know where most of the assemblymen are coming, and I'm sure the presiding member will come from one of their stock. So I'm surprised that among themselves they are fighting. I think they took a cue from the Koreans and the South Africans.
I think even happened in Japan sometimes. Ukraine,
they've taken a cue from them. So I think they should try and find a solution to whatever. Presiding members, some of these things, people meet and agree among themselves that, look, we feel that Honorable Domprey is now qualified to be in that position. And then, I think the important is for the development of the region and the assembly. So I don't know. Sometimes I find it very hard to believe that assembly concept, which is supposed to the benefit of the people down there, has now become a den of politics. I mean, real politics.
It's supposed to be a neutral ground.
A neutral ground now has rather become a place that the point that is being played at the highest level is also.
We always seem to be experiencing this in strongholds, either side. Or sometimes I don't know whether my question is being posited well, but that's the observation. Even brings to mind whether if we're doing an election of district assembly heads, we'll be correct in doing that at this stage of our democracy.
Let me hear the figures. I hear 68, 65 and the line. So it's sharply divided. There is no majority, sort of. So the violence could not be coming from one camp. It's coming from both camps. Yes. Let's be fair.
Yes.
Let's be very
no, it's not a safe. I think we all do agree it's coming from somewhere. Because people have started.
Yes. They've taken entrenched stance. I think that is a shame they could not come to a compromise. We experienced something close to that, where we voted several times. But invariably, all of us intervened, and then we were able to trade and make a compromise. So they should be able to do that. It's out of place. It's very sad that these things will be happening in our body politics and people are attacked all over the place. It's not right. But we need to review our district assembly concept.
Why?
Well, take it or leave it. Mr. Ahoy and the likes, who mooted that idea in the 80s, we have moved on. I remember Nanadru said that it should be partisan. I agree. Because you see, we are pretending that things are not partisan. Meanwhile, it's partisan.
Okay, let me ask you this.
It is totally partisan.
Let's say the NDC is in power as it is now. And then we have election of, let's say, KMA Boss. And then KMA Boss is an MPP man, let's say. Because it will be a stronghold, definitely. It's going to be an MPP man. He's going to make sure that he heads the district or the metropolitan area, make sure development is well channeled at the assembly level. The head definitely is going to be an MPP person, elected, whatever it is. How does that synchronize with government agenda?
It will work, because you see, we are entertaining fear for nothing. Let's look at other jurisdictions. This is happening elsewhere.
Well, they have developed.
What we need to do...
That democracy have developed.
Our
democracy, from the last stage we started, only started in 1993.
We cannot hold ourselves prisoners to these concepts of, they have developed. They started from somewhere. We should also try that, fall, make mistakes, and then correct it. That is when we can move ahead. Because this thing we say is non-partisan. Meanwhile, the thing is partisan. People use party colors for their billboards and all that. Meanwhile, the thing is partisan, and we sit here and pretend and say it's not partisan. So
without logos.
Now, quick one. This thing about MPP being property only, grabbing this thing. I want to make a statement. You see, Roland, don't you want to own property?
I'm a capitalist.
Yes, I want to own property. Your producers, they want to own property. If a government comes, who is facilitating the citizenry to own property? That is not a crime. And so let's not.
At all.
It is not. My chairman here, with the greatest respect, I have a lot of respect for him.
Is that what he said?
He owns property.
No, I'm saying, is that what he said?
He said that.
Or that's your understanding of what he said?
Oh, that's what he said. That's what he said. He said when we come.
Because I'm not assuming
He's
you're saying that.
already-
I'm not assuming. I'm not assuming you're saying socialists don't own property.
No, the way he said it, the way he put it. You see, the way Chairman put it out there. So these people, when they come, all they are interested in property. Meanwhile, Chairman, you're also grabbing property.
No.
Chairman is also grabbing property. So what is wrong with that? Let's encourage people to grab property.
To develop.
Let's encourage people to develop. Let's encourage people to aspire to own property.
To have entrepreneurship spirit.
That is not wrong.
Broader
that is the
society.
trust.
That's my senior.
That is the trust of the spirit of
That's
the
my
people.
senior.
Broader society.
Dark clouds. I have 5 minutes, so let me do this and go. Dark clouds over November 7 for general election. And apparently, there's also some level of compromising in the house as well. Your house. You're an MP.
I know you'll be there soon.
Hopefully. The majority and minority in Parliament have cast doubts about the intention of the Electoral Commission to hold this year's elections on November 7. What really is wrong with this?
No, there's nothing wrong, but you see, we are anticipating a difficulty in terms of the time frame.
You and who? The minority?
No, it's a fact because it has to go to a process. The gazetting, the announcement to the public and all that, the 3 months. It appears difficult. So this is where I thought that if the EC has begun early enough, we would have jumped this hurdle. So it's not impossible, but it looks difficult. So in the context of the time available to us.
You mean from what the law specifies, you have to lay and then make sure that you have a certain working parliamentary period. We're not going to. Then we have a 21-day before it becomes.
And a certain 3 months.
Yes. There's a 3 months before after the normal passage. We have a 21 working day period.
It will be debated in the chamber. Yes. So you can imagine what can happen.
So you guys are just pessimists, right? You, the parliamentarians.
No, we are not pessimists.
You think it's not possible?
We are realists. On the contrary, yes, we are telling you what the reality is.
But it means that the Electoral Commission was not proactive, Mr. Adebuka.
The question is that why do we even bother to change the 7 December date? I don't know why all of a sudden.
No, because our experiences have not been good. We have it in the Constitution. We're supposed to have an inauguration on the 7th of January.
Have we ever failed to do that? Have we?
Well, we nearly failed.
No. We haven't failed to do that. We've always met the 7th January deadline.
There's a period of transition too.
Yeah, we always do it.
No,
we have never failed.
But listen. For each 2 terms, we tend to change. Well, for the last 16 years we've had elections.
Yes.
Each of the 2 terms we've changed governments. So supposing, let's say, we change the NDC government led by John Dramani Mahama.
No, it's not going to happen.
That is what is going to happen. I'm just helping you.
It's continuous.
I'm just helping you.
I don't have any mindset.
My brother.
So supposing, let's say, we change John Dramani Mahama as president.
It surely will happen.
We're going to have an Addo Akufo-Addo led government, which is an MPP government, a government that has not been in power 8 years prior. And so we need to have a certain transitional period. And that transition means that the NDC government would have to come and account or put something together in a report or some transitional processes. And it takes some time. It takes some time because we've seen it in 2000. Well, 2001. We also saw it in 2009.
I was part of the transitional team that met at a conference center to the process. I mean, within the period that was allotted, things were done. You see, we've done it before. There's a template. There's a template. It's not that we are now going to re-engineer. There's a template. I feel that if they cannot meet the deadline, let us stick to what we've got and move on. I mean, there's no need for us to haggle about this. We have been having elections in December. When there's a runoff, Professor Mills time there was a runoff. We were able to have the runoff.
Some are predicting runoffs. So.
Oh, this is one touch. This is one touch.
I am very happy you are saying it's one touch.
It's one touch.
It is one touch and you are going back to
one touch. Oh, last time one touch. 50% this time.
Well, the reasons for the change, they are well placed, to be very honest. I'm also a realist like Chairman. But you see, the 6 elections we've had, the experiences have not been too convenient for us. Especially where there's a runoff, you need some 28 days to be elapsed and all that. So the reason for the change is well captured and it's good enough. I'm saying that let's give it a try, but it has delayed. The EC has not been proactive. That's the fact.
Okay.
They are interested in logo.
Frank, I'm not done.
Logo.
He's a member of parliament for Nsawam
we were going to talk about soul source.
And then he's been in the studio alongside
my chairman.
Chairman Adekoka, and Joseph Ni Adekoka is a chairman for NDC Greater Accra. Thanks for joining me.
Thank you.
You wanted to talk about soul source.
And he loves property too.
So saucy.
We're taking a break. When we come back, Gladys already will be here with entertainment. Just stay on.